everybody, to Behind the Lines. It's Four County's brand new podcast where hopefully we will educate and entertain our members as we go along, but our purpose is to bring people behind the lines, as it were, and kind of talk about some of the things that are happening in the cooperative and around the service territory. I'm Jon Tuner, Manager of Marketing and Public Relations. I'll be your host, and we'll be joined by our CEO and General Manager Brian Clark. Brian?
Sure. If you can't tell by my red face, I'm excited about this. We're making history today, which is odd in a business that's been around for over 80 years, right? It's the first thing we've ever done. First podcast. I hope it's the first of many, many more over the next few years. Plan on archiving these so you can go back and watch these at your leisure. Thank you, John. Great work.
Well, I appreciate that. And as you said, we'll be librarying these. They'll be available on all of the places where you can normally get a podcast, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Samsung, Google Play, those places, and also on Podbean. You'll be able to see the video content of this, and we'll put it on our website and our YouTube channel, so people will be able to look at these over and over again.
Awesome.
Because I'm sure that's exactly what they're going to want to be doing. But our point is, as we said, to kind of take folks behind the lines. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of big topics to get to. Today we're going to talk a little bit about, of course, one of the biggest issues out there, broadband. It's been taking up a lot of our time, a lot of our effort. We're going to talk about our right-of-way program and the things we're doing there, bring our System Arborist Jonathan Howell in. But first, let's talk about the thing that we've been dealing with first and foremost,
Sure.
and that is COVID-19.
Sure.
We've been pretty lucky here.
We have. And John, teeing that up a little bit, it has been a crazy year, 2020. I hope this isn't an indication of the future years we're going to have to come, but we've been blessed, really, in the sense that COVID-19 has not hit home directly to our staff, at least that we know of yet. We started this year, and you look back in March when COVID started hitting, and we made adjustments internally. We started working either every other day or every other week with our staff. In case somebody got infected, we could sanitize the building, sanitize trucks, put that off. We realized towards the end of April that in May, we really were getting behind on work we needed to get done. So we called all the employees back in, and we put measures in place, social distancing, allowing the crews to come in at staggered work times so they're not all in the warehouse at the same time. And when the crews work, they're out in the field, 4 and 5 man crews, so they're not all clustered together out in the field. So if we do have somebody with COVID, everybody won't catch it. So we're doing that. And then the members have multiple options, right, in terms of payments. But before I get into that, our goal is to protect the membership and the employees. We have that duty to do both, and I think we're exceeding that. We're doing above and beyond measures. The lobbies are still closed. We think they'll be closed on out into the future, especially after yesterday's Mississippi numbers. I don't know if you saw it, but it's peaked up higher than it has.
Jumping.
Yeah, I think we have 23,000 cases to date. Payment options, I talked about those. The members, bank drafts, credit cards, online, prepay. There's so many ways a member can pay. So many ways a member's needs can be met. A member can do anything over the web that they could do in person. Of course, you can come to our drive-through, and if you really feel like you need to talk to an individual, we can make that happen as well. But we would rather keep some distance between us during this time.
Well, we're not lucky, but we had already sort of been moving towards those things to try to make it easier for our members to do business with us. And, as it were, all of those things we put in place with our apps and our online things and our empowering our employees to be able to handle situations and one-on-one empowerment when they're dealing with our members, all that sort of kind of lined up so that when COVID did hit, we were ready to just kind of we didn't really miss a beat, did we?
No. We have great frontline staff. If you go to a retail store, a lot of them, if you're looking for something specific, sometimes you'll talk to somebody that works in this department and they'll move you to another department and you feel like it's retail store ping pong a little bit. We've empowered our frontline staff to make decisions. So if a member calls in and they need guidance and help, the person they talk to initially can more than likely help them mitigate any problem they have. There may be some specialized engineering situations we may have to get an engineer involved with, but 9 times out of 10, the frontline staff they talk to can make a decision, and it ultimately helps the member with a smoother process.
And that's all we want. We want to make it as painless as possible for the member to do business with us.
Yes, sir.
One other thing I did want to mention, technology has really allowed us to do a lot of things just in general. It certainly has become prevalent with COVID. We now have the opportunity to do online audits, basically. So if someone is worried about us coming into their home, and of course we don't want to put our auditors, our energy auditors, in the way of COVID. So we can actually go into a home now and do, if the homeowner has a smartphone, we can go do a virtual energy audit where they can walk us through their home, and we can do everything we would do if we were in the home. We just don't actually have to physically set foot in there. And that's just another terrific example of some of the things that we're doing with technology to make our product better, keep our employees and our members safe, like you said.
How neat is that, John? If you're a member and you're waiting on somebody to come to your house to do an energy audit, you can just go online at a certain time and they can watch it through your phone or iPad.
That's right.
And you don't have to wait on them to show up. That's pretty neat.
Who
would have thought?
Exactly. It's a wild, crazy world out there. All right. Well, COVID, we're dealing with it. We will continue to look at it as we move forward. And, of course, we don't know what the future will bring, but we're ready to deal with whatever happens. Keeping our folks safe is our main order of business. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Broadband, your favorite topic, coming up.
Yes.
So we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, let's talk broadband, all right?
Is your home as energy efficient as it can be? How can you find out? With 4 Counties eScore program, it's as simple as a phone call. 4 Counties trusted energy experts will inspect your home from top to bottom and give you a report on what's good and not so good about your home's energy efficiency. Best of all, if you qualify, you can get on-bill financing through the program for HVAC replacement or other efficiency measures. So what are you waiting for? Call 1-800-431-1544 and get your eScore and possible on-bill financing today.
All right, welcome back to Behind the Lines, our brand new 4 County podcast. We're excited to be here, excited to be talking about all things 4 County. Right now, we're going to kind of talk about a topic that's a huge topic, not only here in our area, across the state of Mississippi, but across the country as well,
Yes.
and that's broadband,
Yes,
rural
sir.
broadband. Where are we?
Well, as you know, John, we've studied this over the past year. We've been to co-ops in Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee, Missouri, and Alabama. We've had 3 feasibility studies done. We've surveyed the entire membership through the Today in Mississippi magazine, individual mail-outs, online, social media, and we're currently incorporating Mississippi State Social Sciences Division. You set that up, John, great idea. To get a third party to give us some good statistical data on what they find with a level of confidence. Usually you'll see these stats come in, 3 or 5% level of confidence on how well they think the membership would react to us getting into broadband. So I think that'll all come in positive. I think COVID-19 hitting at this same time really proved to us that there's an educational and health care need for broadband. It really proves that point even more. We're trying to mitigate the risks associated with it, what not to do, learn from people who may have made mistakes going into this, and really decide, are we okay with risking our current investment that our members have built over 80 years to go into this venture.
And that really is the crux of the situation. I don't think anybody in this building debates the need for robust communication, robust broadband, as you said, the educational needs, the telehealth needs, all of that. And we know there's a lot of places, or there are places in our service territory that are unserved or underserved, that
Yes.
people really need the help. The issue is at $110 million plus, a project like that, it would be by far the most expensive project that we ever did. We just want to make sure that if we do get off into it, we get it right, and that's why we're taking our time in doing all of these studies and doing all of this due diligence to make sure we're ready. Is that fair?
It's very fair. I don't want anybody to confuse the fact that we're taking the time we're taking to make this decision as a no answer or a negative position. It's just at that level, if we do this, we want to make sure we're going to succeed.
That's right. And I think, unfortunately, some people see our moving slowly. They get frustrated. They want it yesterday.
Yeah.
And they see our caution as a lack of movement, and that's not true at all.
No, it's not.
We are just trying to make sure that if we do it, we do it right.
Yes, sir.
And of course, if you have comments or questions about broadband, you can email us at broadband at 4county.org, and we'd be happy to answer any questions. If you've got specific comments that you'd like to make about broadband, we'll be doing this podcast every fourth Thursday of the month. So you can, tune in monthly, and if you give us a question or a comment, we'll be glad to answer it next time or whenever it comes up. So we encourage you to let us know what you're thinking. And that was the point of the surveys. We tried to survey the entire membership, got back about 5,000, almost 6,000 surveys there. And then we are doing some more calling out surveys to try to find those folks who didn't answer the survey. What are they really thinking, and try to put together a picture of what the membership wants, what the membership needs, and where we might go if and when we decide to go down this road. So,
that's exactly right.
When are we looking at a decision? What kind of time frame?
I think it'll be this fall. There's a lot of moving parts, and some big decisions are hinging on things that are going to happen in the future. I fully think we'll make a decision this fall.
Okay, great. So, and we'll make sure and keep people up to date. And of course, our social media, we put posts out there. Read Today in Mississippi, that comes to you every month. We do updates in Today in Mississippi. And if that's not enough for you, again, please give us a call at our 800 number, or email us at broadband at 4county.org, and we'll be happy to answer your question.
Yes, we want to hear from you.
All right, so there's our update on broadband. Next, we're going to talk to System Arborist Jonathan Howell, who I think people know him in a variety of jobs, but System Arborist is the one he gets paid for, and he'll be here to talk about our right-of-way program and what we're doing over the next fiscal year after this break. So.
Did you know that trees and tree branches are one of the leading causes of power outages? That's why 4 County's right-of-way program is hard at work, trimming and cutting trees, not only to help prevent outages, but to make it safer and faster to restore outages when they do occur. When 4 County is trimming in your area, you'll be alerted by an automated call, and you'll be contacted before we do any work at your home or business. We're working hard to keep the lights on and our members satisfied. Visit our website, email us at tree@4county.org, or call 1-800-431-1544 for more information.
All right, we're joined now by System Arborist and, of course, entertainment at our annual meeting as our MC and our game show host, Jonathan Howell. Jonathan, thank you for being here with us today.
Sure. Stick around. Singing later.
All right. Well, we'll hold you to that. Jonathan, you're in charge of our right-of-way system, and our right-of-way program is probably one of the most important things we do here. What's going on in fiscal year 2021?
Well, John, we're going to be trimming about 570 miles of right-of-way. Our entire system is almost 4,000 miles. We'll be covering our Magby sub, which is Highway 50 east of Columbus, Tabernacle Road, Gunchute Road, and those areas, Sand Road. We'll also be covering the Lakeside sub, which is east of Starkville. That's Blackjack Road. Let's see, the Huntington Estates in that area. Up Osborne Road, all the way over to the east side of Highway 45. Covers a pretty substantial area east of Starkville. Carbonic substation, which is over here on Highway 45 south around Columbus, and also the Lone Oak substation in West Point, which the Lone Oak substation is on Highway 50 west of West Point and goes into the town and north.
Now, we have a plan where we're doing some right-of-way work around the system every year.
That's right.
So we might not be in your yard or along your right-of-way this year, but we do that in 5-6 year cycles, something like that?
That is correct. 6-year cycle is what we're doing right now. So we try to cover somewhere in the neighborhood of 640 miles to 580 miles, depending on the size of the circuits that we're working and the density of the vegetation, and of course that affects the cost of the right-of-way work that we're going to do.
Why is right-of-way so important?
Well, a couple of factors. Number one, we can reduce outages, not eliminate them. We can reduce outages, and also we can reduce the time that those outages last. That's the nuts and bolts of right-of-way, is reducing those outage durations. Right-of-way work is about access and being able to see that hardware along that line. We want to make make it accessible, make it safe for our linemen when there is trouble. There will be trouble. We live where there are thunderstorms, tornadoes, hurricanes, and occasionally ice. So we know that with overhead lines, they're going to come down eventually because of vegetation, and we want to be able to get that service back as quickly as possible.
That's right, because vegetation is one of the leading cause of outages.
It is historically here, and I would presume nationwide, somewhere between 40 to 50% on overhead lines.
So what do you do basically when you're out there trimming those lines? Not you, but our right-of-way program. What's happening out there while those folks are working?
Well, we're pruning for a distance away from the conductors, 15 feet, give or take. We'll sometimes get more than that depending on the tree species and where it's located relative to that line. So we're clearing away from the conductors horizontally and vertically to get that clearance where we can, linemen when they're out on trouble calls, can see down that right of way to find trouble if there's any. We're pruning trees, obviously, but we're also cutting brush around poles, vines growing up poles or around the guy wires. We're also going to turn in any hardware issues that they happen to spot, loose guy wires and that kind of thing. So we're clearing vegetation and trying to minimize the potential for trouble from that vegetation.
And then one of the things that we always try to walk a fine line on when our right-of-way crews are out there is respecting the members' property and choices while needing to get the job done. We've worked real hard to try to make sure that we are as minimally invasive as possible. What happens when we're out there in a member's yard or on their property? What do the crews do to make sure that they are good stewards of the member's property?
Well, even before the crews get there, we at 4 County have an automated call-out system where we have contact telephone numbers. We're going to call our members and let them know work's coming up where you live with tree work. Our contractors will be out to knock on doors and let people know that they're coming out to do the trimming work. Of course, they use heavy equipment, and that oftentimes can affect our members' property. So we do our best to inculcate in our contractors that they need to address those things in a timely manner. Most of them are pretty good about contacting immediately when they've called something like a track, but sometimes those get overlooked. If our members, they have an experience like that, limbs get left, if there's tire marks or something like that, broken driveway from heavy vehicles being on the concrete, they can call into 4 County and we'll put them on that. They are obligated and they want our members to be satisfied. Satisfied members and us being satisfied in the right-of-way department, that's their letter of commendation, if you will. That's a check that they're going to get to come back and work for us.
Now, of course, most of the folks that are out there working on a right-of-way are contractors, but they're closely managed by you, our system arborist, and our assistant system arborist, Robert Gaskin. Is that right?
That is correct. And we're always telling our contractors, not only are we watching them in the right-of-way department, but they're in big trucks and big equipment. People see them. So they're conscious of that, and they try to do their best for our members.
And despite what people might think, when we're out there doing that right-of-way work and we're doing those trimming and maybe a tree looks a little funny because we've sort of trimmed along it, we don't want to cut it down, but we have to make it, not in the power line. They might think it looks kind of random, but we're following some pretty strict standards there, aren't we?
That's right. We follow the ANSI A300 standards for utility clearance. That's a national standard. Most utilities follow that. It establishes proper procedures, proper methods of pruning in both rural and urban settings, and we require our contractors to follow those.
Right, and the other key component besides the trimming and the tree cutting is herbicide. Tell us a little bit about our herbicide program, why it's so important.
Well, our herbicide is a very important cog in the right-of-way wheel. We prune to clear vegetation encroaching on those lines. But we also need to clear the ground underneath those lines so that we have access physically. And herbicide is how we go about that. After we've come through an area and pruned, within 6 to 18 months, we're going to follow up with a herbicide treatment underneath. We'll treat volunteer sweet gums, pines, that kind of thing. We're treating woody stemmed vegetation that might grow into the conductors or prevent our vehicles from getting down the right of way.
And we are very aware of the fact that we are invading on habitats and food for butterflies, birds, woodland animals, all of that. Talk about what we use. It's safe, and we don't do anything.
It is safe. John, we part of our contract is we require our applicators to follow the law of the United States of America, Mississippi law, and also the labeling directions on those products that they use. So they're very cognizant that what they do is visible to the people where they work, and they do their best to do that. We've had great success with that. At the same time, talking about wildlife and that kind of thing, actually herbicide use, when done properly, done to label, can enhance wildlife. Our right-of-ways can be a corridor that's attractive to wildlife. In fact, there are many deer hunters who take advantage of that every fall. So, done properly, herbicide work is an asset. It's a great thing. It's a great tool for the co-op as far as maintaining our reliability and service, but it can also be a good thing for wildlife, insect, and mammalia, but also for our members to enjoy.
Jonathan, thank you for the work that you and Robert Gaskin do, working with the contractors, keeping yourselves and the members safe. With outages being caused about 50% by the trees, it's no doubt that a large expense goes into that right away. Thank you for balancing the budget. Thank you for being frugal while getting the job done. You're doing a great job. I just want to let you know the contractors recently came through the neighborhood where I live, and it looked very professional, very neat, much like your haircut.
Thank you very much.
And you can tell he spends a lot of time outside because he is kind of glowing today, so got a lot of sun.
I did.
Well, Jonathan, thank you for joining us. Thank you for talking about right away. We'll have you back over the course of the next year as we have big projects going on, or we've got something that we need another project that's kicking off, so we can inform people. But again, if you have something you'd like to ask Jonathan or Robert about, or you have an issue with your right of way or tree or question, they can call 1-800-431-1544 and ask for Jonathan or Robert, or they can email you at tree, T-R-E-E, at the number 4county.org. And of course, you'll be Johnny on the spot, if I may, and get back to them as soon as you can and take care of them, because we want everybody to be satisfied every day.
Every day.
So, all right. Well, Jonathan, thank you for joining us. We'll be back to wrap things up in just a minute.
Take a look around your home. How many appliances, devices, and electronics do you use on a daily basis? We're guessing a lot. And just think, without electricity, you wouldn't be able to use these gadgets you depend on. Did you know the cost of electricity has risen at a much slower pace than other types of goods and services? For example, from 2012 to 2017, the average cost of rent increased by 3.5%. Cable and satellite TV services increased by 3.3%, and education increased by 3%. But during that time, the average cost of electricity only increased by 1.6%. Considering how much we depend on electricity, that's a great value. So, the next time your energy bill seems a little high, maybe you experienced extreme temperatures or had house guests for a few days more than you would have liked, remember, the cost of electricity rises much slower than many other types of goods and services, and when you think about all the ways we use electricity on a daily basis, its value continues to shine. Want to learn about ways you can save energy at home? We're here to help. Give us a call or stop by our office.
Welcome back to Behind the Lines, Four Counties' brand new podcast. With me, Brian Clark, our CEO, General Manager. And Brian, folks just heard about the value of electricity, and of course we think that there is a lot of value in electricity, but just ran the numbers from fiscal year 2019, and members spent an average of $4.62 a day for power. That's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. If you really thought about it, if you had to generate your own electricity, just say you had to get on a bicycle and ride the bike to generate electricity, $5 is pretty cheap a day. And if you look at other products, I think we have a segment on that, on the inflation and how much energy's gone up in the past few years. It really has not gone up at the extent that other things have gone up at. As a matter of fact, Fort County hadn't raised rates in years. We've even absorbed the TVA rate increase back in 2016. So I say it's still a bargain.
Well, we did a commercial a few years ago about the things that you could do for $5, and maybe you can get a fast food meal.
Yeah.
And at the time, you could get a gallon of gas. Of course, that's gone down a little bit.
Yeah.
But just the fact that you can run your entire household with all of the things that we do, the electricity, you can do your clothes, watch your TV, get on your computer or your game system, cool your house, heat your house, and do all that for less than $5 a day. Amazing. And of course, we work real hard to make sure that you continue to be able to do that at an affordable rate. So, and part of what we do, we had Jonathan here talking about our right-of-way program and making sure that we balance all of those things that we do. So our Behind the Lines, our very first podcast coming to a close. What do you think?
I think it's great. I just want to leave everybody with the fact that anytime you encounter us and our employees at Fort County, we're here to instill honesty, integrity, and service in all that we do. If you can benefit better from Fort County, please just let us know.
That's right. And you can get in touch with us by calling us at 1-800-431-1544, or you can email us at info@4county.org. That's info at the number 4, COUNTY.org. Please let us know what you think. We need some feedback on this so we can talk about the things that interest you. We're going to be doing this once a month, every fourth Thursday of the month, coming to you with topics. I think we've got things. We'll be talking about electric vehicles. We'll talk about rates. We'll talk about things like solar power, broadband, of course. I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about safety. Anything else that interests us. And we think that, again, we're trying to educate and entertain. So we look forward to bringing that to folks.
Yes,
we'll have other guests from inside the cooperative and outside the cooperative as we move forward. So join us next month, July the 4th Thursday in July, for our next edition of Behind the Lines. Until then, I'm Jon Tuner with Brian Clark. Thank you.
Thank you.